Hello, hello. Am I audible to you? हेलो। पहले आवाज नहीं आ रहा था ना? हेलो। Now am I audible to you? I'm asking to everyone. ओके। प्रीवियस मेरा आवाज कुछ भी नहीं आया ना तुम लोग को? ओके ठीक है, आई स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द लाइक बेसिक अगेन फर्स्ट। पूरा रिपीट कर देती हूँ मैं। So what I was saying is, today we will start with the concept of object oriented programming. Okay. Now, like as I have already explained in our first lecture, that is, in general, the programming languages are divided into two types. One is procedure oriented programming language, another is object oriented programming language. Okay. So procedure oriented programming language, like it mainly focused of like creating an application which are completely based on functions and procedures. Okay. There is no concept like classes, object included. Okay. And object oriented programming concept mainly focused on creating objects and representing everything with the help of object. Okay. So where this object oriented programming is actually used, this is mainly introduced and this is mainly used for creating a kind of non-rigid applications. Okay, non-rigid applications means what? The kind of application where you have to work with an entity. Okay, not with some raw data. Okay, or raw information. Okay, here we have to represent every, like you can say, or you can say some collection of data as a part of some object or some entity. So in that case, we can go for object-oriented programming. Now, Python is not like a purely object-oriented programming language. Okay, but some of the concepts from object-oriented programming language are supported in Python, not all concepts. Okay, so first you should know what exactly an object-oriented programming is and how it is implemented. So this object-oriented programming mainly based on two concepts called as classes and object. Okay, means to learn any one of the pillar of object-oriented programming, you have to learn the concept of classes and object first. Okay, then I have listed out some of the major pillars of object oriented programming. Okay, so if anyone asks you that what are the pillars of OOPS, okay, so these four are the pillars of object oriented programming, which are abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Okay, and this is the proper sequence for object oriented programming pillars. Okay, because sometimes the interviewer may ask you to, like you can say, list these pillars in a proper sequence. Okay, so the sequence is abstraction always comes first, then we have encapsulation, then we have inheritance, and then we have polymorphism. Okay, now it's not like okay, all of these concepts are supported in Python. Okay, some of the concepts are supported, and how they can, like those concepts can be implemented, that is like covered in this module. Okay, but in your free course you just have the introduction of object oriented programming. So here we will cover the concept of classes and objects. Okay, now before starting with the concept of class, you should learn the concept of object first. Okay, I'm not saying practically, we are firstly focused on theoretical part, means we will try to understand what exactly this class and object is, and in which cases or in which type of programs we have to make the use of this class and object. Okay, so let's try to understand this through one real world example. Okay, like take an example as if I have to represent my data, okay, or you can say my personal information. Okay, then I can treat or I can say that I am one of the object, okay, which has some state and some behavior. What does it mean? Like if I am an object, I have my name, my date of birth, my height, my color, my education details, etc. So these are the, like you can say, these things can be defined with the help of what? Variable. And those variables are treated as what? They are treated as the state of an object. Okay. So if I am an object, then my state will be my name, my date of birth, my age, my height, etc. And the second thing which I said about an object is object also represent the behavior. Okay. So behavior means what? Currently I'm talking with you. Okay. If I'm eating something, if I'm sleeping, or if I'm listening music, okay, whatever the action performed by me, that is nothing by my behavior. Okay. And that behavior can be represented by using the concept called as methods. Okay. Or you can say functions in Python. Okay. So if I am the object, okay, and I have my state and behavior similar like me, okay, there are n number of objects available in the real world. Okay. So how you will represent each and every object? Okay. For that purpose, you need to identify the type of that object first. Okay. And type of object is what? If I am an object, I am a type of what? Person. Okay. So person is treated as what? Entity. Okay. Or you can say it is treated as a class. Okay. And there are multiple persons exist in the real world which have the state and behavior. Okay. So if I have to represent the different object of this person class, okay, then obviously I cannot represent them individually. Okay. Means it's not like I can write my information in a separate function, then I can take your information and write it in the second function, then I'll take third person information, write it in the third function. Okay. The problem will be what? The code will become a static. It is not a kind of dynamic code. Okay. Second is code maintenance become difficult. The code will be like there is a repetition of code which we don't want. Okay. So for that purpose, what I can do is I can create a blueprint of an object. Okay. And through that blueprint, we will create or we will provide an identity by creating an object. Okay. So that's why class. What exactly the class is? Class, it is a collection of a member variable and member functions which are used to represent the blueprint of an object. Okay. And this object, it is called as an instance of a class. Okay. Means if there is a class person, then we have the instance as I can say me, one of the instance of that person class. If I'm saying about say Priyanka, this is like she is the another instance of the class person. If I'm saying about Akhilesh, he is the third instance of that same class person. Okay. And we all have the state as our name, age, date of birth, and we all have some kind of behavior. Okay. Which can be represented through this class. But what is the purpose of object? Object will give us an identity. Okay, like you can call me by my name as Pratima, or you can identify me as by name as Pratima. Okay, but the name variable will be common for all three objects, and the value which is provided within that name variable will be differentiated. It can be Pratima, it can be Priyanka, it can be Akhilesh, it can be Shrikant, anything. Okay, so that's what the concept of class and object is. Okay. In the same way, you can take any other example also. Like if I'm saying there is a class fruits, then it may have the different objects like mango, banana, apple, etc. Okay. You can take the class as vegetable. You can take the class as employee. You can take the class as student. You can take the class as teacher. So if you have like a kind of application which allows us to work with an entity, then in those type of application, you have to make the use of classes and object concept. Okay. So just now I have explained this concept only through real world examples. Currently, we don't know that how these concepts are implemented in a practical way, then how to create a class, how exactly that object is created, etc. Okay, but do you understand just a theoretical part of class and object or the object oriented programming so that I can proceed further? Okay, everyone understood this much part? What is class and what is object? You can message me also in a chat. Okay, now I'm asking for the last time. Do you understand this much part? Okay, ठीक है. Um, so now we will start with the practical thing. Okay, means according to Python, how these concepts are implemented. Let's see. Okay, and just keep in mind that whenever we are learning or whenever you are learning Python, oh sorry, object-oriented programming in any language, I'm not saying specifically about Python. Okay, whenever you will learn object-oriented programming, just try to learn this concept through real-world examples because it becomes easy to understand as well as it is easy to remember. Okay, if you will compare these things with the real world examples. Okay, so here in this model they have given classes and object, constructor, inheritance, polymorphism, etc. We have to cover only classes and object. So Python, it is an object oriented programming language, and this object oriented programming focus on creating reusable pattern of code in contrast to procedural programming, which focus on explicit sequence instruction. Okay, so whenever we are working on complex program in a particular object oriented programming lets you to reuse the code and write code that is more readable, which in turns make it more maintainable. Okay, so one of the most important concepts given in an object oriented programming is the distinction between the classes and object. Okay, which is defined as follows. Okay, what is it exactly? A class, it is a blueprint created by a programmer for an object, and this defines a set of attributes that will characterize any object that is instantiated from this class. Okay, so the class, it mainly represent blueprint of an object, and if you have to define the class in a proper way, we can say it like it is a collection of member variable or instance variable and instance functions. Okay, second thing, object. Object is called as an instance of a class, and this is the realized version of the class. Okay, where the class is manifested in the program. Okay, like through object we can represent three things. Means these three things are also called as properties of an object, which are nothing but SBI, that is state, behavior, and identity. State, through state I can represent the variables. Through behavior I can represent the function, and identity is nothing but the actual values provided to that object. Okay, so how the class is created in Python? For creating a class in Python, you just have to use the class keyword followed by the class name. Now whenever you are providing a class name, you have to define the identifier rules which we have seen in our first lecture, and then colon whatever the statements or the function you wanted to declare, you can declare it over here. Along with that, the next one is like here they have directly given the example. Okay, okay, because within a PPT they have discussed about the same example only. So we will also start with the example. Let's say I have created the class as employee. Okay, within this class Wait, I'll just save this application. Sorry. So within this class, now we have to create some functions which allows us to work with this employee class. So in general, in case of employee class, we mainly have two different type of functionalities. Okay, if I'll focus on only main functionalities, the first task I have to do is I need to accept the data from the user. And the second task is we have to display that employee detail or employee content to the user. So let's see how the variables are created over here and how this behavior will be represented. Okay, so to start with, as you know, the empty function is declared by using which keyword? Definition. So definition, say I have taken accept as my function name in bracket. In case of classes and object concept means in OOP, whenever we are creating a function within a class, it's mandatory that within that function you have to pass at least one parameter which is self. Okay, this self will denote that this accept method belongs to an object of this class. And if I'm not providing self as a parameter over there, then this method will be directly belong to a class. Means for calling this method, what I require is we need to like call this method with the help of class name, not by using object name. Okay, like this concept is related to a static keyword, which is given later, like in depth. But for now, I'm just explaining about this self. So once it is given, now through this accept method, what we have to do is I need to accept the data and like through show method, I have to display it to the user. So let's see, EID equals to, now I will say int. For now, I'm not using like self dot EID over here. Okay, this is just because I wanted to show you the output. Like what if I have not written like self dot EID, then what will happen? Okay, so int input. Okay, the data is taken from the user. In the same way, by using show method, we can display that data. So show self, and then we are saying print. Information is ID is comma EID. Done. Our class is created along with two methods where we have taken the variable as employee name and salary, and we have taken the method as accept and show. Okay. Once the class is created, now the next question is how to access the members of this class. So for accessing the member of this class, what we have to use is we need to make the use of object. Okay. So obviously the question will be how to create an object. In Python, for creating the object, they have given one simple syntax, that is, you have to provide object name equal to class name. Done. Object is created. For now, just to check whether this object is created or not, I'm just printing the object as it is. So it must print its hash code and the other information. Okay, it will not print any kind of data. only the hash code will be printed. Let's see. If I run this, you can see this employee object is stored at which location? The zero is something. Okay. So at this particular location, this object has been created and stored. But what I have to do is I need to display the data, not the hash code of that object. And for the same, I need to call accept an object, sorry, show method through this object. So how to call the method? Just by using dot operator. Object dot accept and object dot show. Okay, done. You can see accept method is invoked. Enter an ID, enter the name, and enter the salary. You can see gives an error. Now why it shows that error? It's just because I have declared those EID name salary variable in which method? Accept. And we are trying to fetch those variable in show method. Okay. So just because the scope is differentiated means EID has scope for only define, sorry, accept method, not for the show method. And that's why this error occurs. Okay. So what I have to denote is these three objects are nothing but the state, sorry, these three variables are nothing but the state of the current object. It means this belongs to the current object, and to define the same, you need to use self keyword along with them. That is self dot eid, and I will say self dot name, then self dot salary, and at the time of displaying data also you will say the same. Done. Now let's execute it. You can see the particular data information is displayed to the user. So this is how a simple classes and object concept is implemented in a Python. Understood this concept? You don't have to define any kind of logic, or there are no any extra syntax given. We have the basic syntax, and with the help of same you need to implement this. Okay. Now the thing is, currently I'm like accepting data, displaying data. We are performing everything. We are doing everything with the help of this methods or with the help of this function. But there is one special method given in Python called as init method, okay, which mainly allows us to create a constructor of the class, okay. But that concept is not given in your syllabus, means in your free course, and that's why I'm not taking the same. But this is related to the introduction of object-oriented programming and the classes and object concept, okay. Next, now, yesterday, just like I said, we will cover at least one algorithm from the data structure. So I'll take one algorithm. Like here, our object-oriented programming is completed. Okay, so we'll start with algorithm. Um, Now, which algorithm we have to implement? So in data structure, they have given multiple algorithms for the sorting and searching. Okay. Now, if any one of you is from computer background, like not only computer, if he is from engineering, okay, like he had completed BE Comp or BE IT, then they may know about this data structure algorithms. Okay, like in case of sort, we have the multiple sorting algorithms like bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, merge sort, etc. Okay, and in searching, anyhow, there are only two options given, that we have linear search and binary search. Okay, so I will explain the searching algorithm, but we will implement this bubble sort algorithm, and you need to like try to implement those search algorithms. Okay, so let's understand the concept of this bubble sort algorithm first. Okay, so let's take an example, as I have taken some numbers over here within a list. Okay, like instead of 55, I'll say 5, 1, 3, 6, and 2. Okay, these are the 5 elements which I have taken in like a list, and I have to sort this data and represent it in a sorted manner. Okay, so to do the same, if I'm applying bubble sort algorithm, how that algorithm is applied? Here, the concept is like, in case of bubble sort, you need to compare two elements, okay, and you need to check whether the first element is greater than the second element or not. If it is greater, just swap them. Okay, like how? Every time you have to start comparing the data from zeroth index value. Okay, like this zeroth index value will be compared with first index, second index, third index, and fourth index. You can say up to length minus one index. Okay, so here, anyhow, I have only 5 elements. So let's try to compare this. Initially, at zeroth index, which value is stored? 5. So we will compare this 5 with 1. Check the 5 is greater than 1 or not. So you can see 5 is greater than 1. The condition is true. So we will swap these two values. Okay. I will get the modified list as what? 1, 5. Then we have 3, 6. And the last one is 2. Done. The first swapping is done. After that, now at zeroth index we have 1. This 1 will be now compared with 3. The condition is false because 1 is smaller than 3. Again, this 1 will be compared with 6. The condition is again false. 1 will be compared with 2. The condition is again false. So we have compared zeroth index value with all other values. Okay. And just because the iteration is completed, here our zeroth index element is now sorted. Done. Now we have to start focusing on second. Again, the same process will be repeated. Now this 5 will be compared with 3. The condition is true. We need to swap these two values. Okay. So 1, 3, then we have 5, then again 6, and then 2. Okay. Then this 3 will be compared with 6. The condition is false. And 3 will be compared with 2. The condition is true. Okay. So I need to swap this. Okay. So 1, then we will say 2, then this will remain as it is 5, then we have 6, and instead of 2, what value we will get? 3. Done. All the values are compared. Our second element is also sorted. Now we have to start from third. So 5 will be compared with 6. The condition is false because 5 is smaller. Then 5 will be compared with 3. The condition is true. So we need to swap them. So I will say 1, then we will get 2, then we have 5, then we have 3, then we have 6, and at the end we have 5. Done. So I can say this third element is also sorted. Now we have to focus on last two elements. This 6 will be compared with 5. The condition is true. So just swap them. So I will get the values as 1, then we have 2, then we have 5, like 3, 5, and then 6. Okay. So here all the iterations are also completed and we will get the sorted data as 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So this is how the bubble sort algorithm is applied. Okay. So let's see how it is implemented. Okay. I will say define sort. Okay. I need to accept the list from the user first. And for accepting the list, I need to accept its length. So I will say enter the number of items or the size of list, anything. Okay. So value is taken. Now on the basis of this value, I need to accept the list. For I in range 0 to n. Okay, I need to create one empty list over here. Okay, so let's give the name to that list as what? A, which is list. Okay, and for adding the list, means adding the data within a list, we have seen append method. So I will say a dot append will accept the data in integer format only because we have to do the comparison, and for comparison purpose we must accept or we should have the data of only similar types. So I have taken integer data, and here I'll print the message as enter the plus str first value, enter second value, likewise it will be given. Okay, so I will save this as what, sort dot py. Done. Okay, all the values are taken from the user. Once these values are taken, now I have to apply the sorting algorithm. So to start with, we need to do the comparison and then accordingly we have to swap. So for comparison purpose, we have to write the for loop as for I in range. As you know, we have to start comparing the data from which index? 0 up to nth index. So simply I will take 0 comma n. Now, whenever I'll start comparing the data from 0th index, the thing is, wait, there is some problem with indentation. This is correct. Okay, so for, I will say I in range 0 comma n. Now, whenever we will start with the first 0th index, then we have to take the outer, or you can say, sorry, the inner loop, which will start from what? I plus 1 index. Okay, because when we are at 0th index, we have to start comparing the data from first. When we are at first index, we have to start comparing the data from second. When we are at third index, we have to start comparing the data from fourth. Likewise, we have to change the index. Okay, so that's why I will take the inner for loop. Okay. The problem occurred due to this. Okay, as you can see here, the indentation error is given. Now it is correct. Okay, so for I in range 0 comma n, we will say for j in range, we have to take I plus 1, means I have to start with I plus 1 and we will goes up to n. Done. Now here, simply compare if a of I, okay, you know, like in case of list, the index, like values can be fetched through indexes. So if a of I is greater than a of j, then I need to swap them. Okay, so for swapping purpose, you can use any kind of logic. Okay, so let's say I'm using temp equal to, like this is easy to understand, that's why I'm using this. A of temp equal to a of I equals to a of j, and this a of j equal to temp. Done. So once all these loops are completed and all the swappings are done, we will get the sorted list. Okay, so we'll say print sorted data, and list is mutable, so obviously the data will be changed. So sorted data is, or sorted list is for I in range, or sorry, for I in a, print I, means one value from that list will be taken and displayed to the user. Let's see. So sort, enter the number of items. For now, I'm accepting the same items which we have provided over there. So I have entered the data as what? 51362. So 51336 and then 2. You can see 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. The same output is given. In the same way, if I have accepted 6 values and will give the values in any format, means in any order, 6, 12, 15, 23, 43 and 46. This is how the values are displayed. Understood? Okay, so the sorting algorithm is applied in this way. Okay, this is called as bubble sort algorithm. Okay, now I'll just explain the concept of linear search and binary search verbally. What that linear search algorithm is, it's very easy. If I have taken the same, that is these as array, okay, or a list of data, uh, the sequence or the steps in algorithm are like, first of all, we have to take the list from the user, means all the data from the user. Then we have to take the search item from the user, search element from the user. After that, okay, you are saying about sort, na? What if the values are same? Then in that case also, it provide the proper sorting. Like say, if I have taken 4, 121, say 2, 3, and I have taken 2. We can see 2, 2, 3, and then 121. Because in case of values are same, the swapping will not be done, and the values, or you can say that number, will remain at same position. Okay, and that's why there will be no issues with this sorting process. Okay, like just like I have dry run this example, in the same way you can dry run another example. Okay, मीन्स जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे खुद रन करके दिखाया था कि कैसे होता है, तो तुम लोग सेम वैल्यू लेके भी कर सकते हो। जैसे कि यहाँ पे अगर टू टू रहता, तो 2 is greater than 2, कंडीशन फॉल्स हो जाता, स्वैपिंग होगा ही नहीं। this 2 can be directly compared with this value can, like again 2 will be compared with this value. ओके, तो यहाँ पे स्वैपिंग नहीं होगा, जो भी वैल्यू रहेगा उसी पोजीशन में आएगा। फिर हम लोग नेक्स्ट वही, सपोज अगर 2 है मेरे पास, तो वो कंपेयर हो जाता ऐसे। तो इसीलिए अगर सेम वैल्यू होगा तो भी हमारा सॉर्टिंग में कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं आता। ओके, नाउ हाँ, सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज सर्चिंग एल्गोरिदम का कैसे करते हैं। तो सर्चिंग एल्गोरिदम में आपको पहला इनपुट लेना पड़ता है लिस्ट, देन उसके बाद एक सर्च एलिमेंट लेना पड़ता है। Then, in case of searching algorithm, simply within a for loop, you just have to compare your least element, जैसे कि I को आपको कंपेयर करना पड़ेगा सर्च वैल्यू के साथ। ओके, बट थ्रू रेंज, हाँ, नॉट थ्रू लाइक फॉर आई इन ए। ओके, ऐसे भी करोगे तो चलेगा, उसमें प्रीडिफाइंड फंक्शन भी है। बट अगर आपको बोलेंगे कि नहीं, उसका प्रीडिफाइंड फंक्शन यूज ही नहीं करना है फॉर डिस्प्लेइंग द पोजीशन, तो आपको जैसे मैंने अभी सॉर्टिंग वाला प्रोग्राम करके दिखाया वैसे करना पड़ेगा। ओके, कि आप इंडेक्स वाइज उसको चेक करते जाओगे। इफ दैट search element found at a of I means like ith position, then आप डिस्प्ले करोगे कि ओके एलिमेंट इज फाउंड एंड इट इज फाउंड एट विद दिस पोजीशन। एंड एक फ्लैग या फिर काउंटर ले लो जिसका वैल्यू सपोज इनिशियली ट्रू रहेगा, सॉरी फॉल्स रहेगा, एंड उस फ्लैग को एलिमेंट मिलने के बाद ट्रू कर दो। अगर वो फ्लैग ट्रू हुआ, इट मीन्स आपका एलिमेंट मिल गया। एंड फॉर लूप के बाहर आप चेक करोगे कि अगर फ्लैग का वैल्यू अभी भी फॉल्स ही है, इट सिंपली मीन्स व्हाट, एलिमेंट नॉट फाउंड विद इन दैट लिस्ट। तो ये सिंपल है लीनियर सर्च। बट लीनियर सर्च में प्रॉब्लम क्या रहता है कि जैसे कि मैंने सर्च एलिमेंट लिया 6, तो वो 6 पहले कंपेयर होगा 5 के साथ, फिर कंपेयर होगा 1 के साथ, फिर 3 के साथ, फिर 6 के साथ। एंड यहाँ पे जाके उसको पता चलेगा कि ओके दिस 6 इज फाउंड एट 4th पोजीशन। बट अगर मेरे पास ऐसे 1000 एलिमेंट्स हैं, ओके, एंड मेरा एलिमेंट जो है वो 999 पोजीशन पे अवेलेबल है, तो प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, दिस विल टेक मोर टाइम फॉर सर्चिंग, ओके, विच वी डोंट वांट। एंड टू अवॉइड दैट हमारे पास ऑप्शन क्या रहता है कि वी कैन मेक द यूज ऑफ अनदर एल्गोरिथम विच इज सॉर्टिंग, सॉरी, बाइनरी सर्च एल्गोरिथम। ओके, तो बाइनरी सर्च क्या रहता है, बाइनरी सर्च इज नथिंग बट आप जो डेटा लोगे, जैसे कि मैं अभी हॉरिजॉन्टली रिप्रेजेंट करती हूँ उसको। बाइनरी सर्च में सबसे पहला लिमिट ये है कि कंपलसरी आपको सॉर्टेड डेटा ही लेना पड़ता है। ओके, मतलब जो भी वैल्यूज तुम लोग लोगे वो सॉर्टेड ऑर्डर में लेना पड़ेगा। ओके, डन, सपोज इतना वैल्यू ले लिया। फिर नेक्स्ट आप क्या करोगे, बाइनरी सर्च है ना, मतलब आपको क्या, सर्च एंड डिवाइड, दैट काइंड ऑफ ऑपरेशन यू हैव टू। तो इसमें पहला फर्स्ट ऑपरेटर लेना, सॉरी फर्स्ट वैल्यू लेना पड़ता है लोअर बाउंड। तो अभी लिस्ट में लोअर बाउंड क्या रहेगा, हमेशा 0 ही रहेगा। फिर अपर बाउंड, अभी करंट लिस्ट में अपर बाउंड क्या है, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8। ओके, देर आर टोटल 9 एलिमेंट्स एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू इंडेक्स मेरा अपर बाउंड आ रहा है 8। नाउ ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट मीडियन फाइंड आउट करो। तो मीडियन क्या मिल रहा है मुझे, 0 + 8 डिवाइड बाय 2, सो 4 मिला। ओके, फिर आप सर्च एलिमेंट लोगे। अभी कंसिडर करो कि मैंने सर्च एलिमेंट लिया एज से 23 और 11, कुछ भी ले लो। ओके, तो मैंने लिया 23। ओके, अब ये पहले सब वैल्यूज फेच करने के बाद आपको एक्चुअल कोड लिखना पड़ता है। तो तब आप फॉर लूप यूज नहीं करोगे, व्हाइल लूप यूज करके चेक करोगे कि जब तक तुम्हारा लोअर बाउंड अपर बाउंड से कम है तब तक आप क्या करोगे, इफ में सबसे पहला कंडीशन आएगा, इफ सर्च इज एग्जैक्टली इक्वल टू, सपोज लिस्ट का वैल्यू ए है, तो ए ऑफ एम मतलब मीडियन इंडेक्स के साथ आपका सर्च वैल्यू कंपेयर करो। तो 0 1 2 3 4, फोर्थ इंडेक्स पे क्या है मेरे पास, 7, 7 विल बी कंपेयर विद 23, कंडीशन क्या हुआ, फॉल्स। फिर आप चेक करोगे कि जो मीडियन वैल्यू है, सॉरी सर्च वैल्यू है, वो मीडियन वैल्यू से कम है या ज्यादा है। Okay, so 23 is greater than 7. Okay, and data is already given in sorted format. It simply means what, कि यहाँ पे ये तो प्रूव हुआ कि फर्स्ट हाफ पार्ट में मुझे ये 23 मिलेगा ही नहीं। सो सिंपली डिस्कार्ड दैट पार्ट। डिस्कार्ड मतलब अभी उस पर फोकस नहीं करना है। आप क्या करोगे कि इफ दिस सर्च एलिमेंट इज ग्रेटर देन मीडियन एलिमेंट, देन लोअर बाउंड वुड बी m+1, मतलब अभी 8 जो है, मतलब 0 1 2 3 4 5, तो मेरा लोअर बाउंड इंडेक्स अभी क्या हो जाएगा, 5, एंड अपर बाउंड 8 ही रहेगा। तो 8 + 5 / 2। ओके, कैलकुलेट करो कि कितना हो रहा है। तो 8 + 5 विल बी 13, 13 / 2 विल बी, हम लोग को क्या मिलेगा, 6 पॉइंट समथिंग। तो 5 6। अब मेरा मीडियन क्या निकला, मतलब मीडियन का वैल्यू कितना निकला, दिस वन। ओके, अगेन कंपैरिजन होगा। ओके, द एलिमेंट इज नॉट फाउंड, फिर से हमारा लोअर बाउंड चेंज होगा, अपर बाउंड चेंज होगा, मीडियन मिलेगा ये वैल्यू। ओके, देन अगेन दिस एस विल बी कंपेयर विद ए ऑफ एम, वैल्यू मिल जाएगा, विद इन 4 इटरेशन आपका वैल्यू सर्च हो जाएगा। एंड वही अगर मैं लीनियर सर्च के थ्रू जाती तो मुझे कितने नंबर ऑफ इटरेशन करने पड़ते, 7। तो बाइनरी सर्च में एडवांटेज ये है कि विद इन अ मिनिमम अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम it find or it search the specific element. Okay, but the only drawback of this binary search is the data must be given in a sorted order. अगर sorted order में data नहीं रहेगा then आपका वहाँ पे searching operation perform नहीं हो पाएगा. Okay, so what you have to do is, on the basis of this, just try to implement the algorithms. Okay, understood?